So now we come to the next step in the process, which is terrifying and exciting all at the same time. It's figuring out how much your business is actually worth. So as a business owner, you probably have no clue what your business is worth. When I sold my own businesses, I didn't know where to start. But as a business broker, it's my job to know what a business is actually worth. So going back to our example of Cindy, she really enjoyed getting to know this broker she met. She felt that he could probably represent her pretty well. But first, she wanted to know how much he thought her business was worth. So in order to do this, he needed a few things. He needed tax returns, P&Ls, and balance sheets for the previous 3 years. And this allowed him to start work on the BEV. So what's a BEV? A BEV is a broker estimate of value. So this is not an official valuation of your business. This is essentially a market valuation. So a broker comes up with this by using all his tools and his knowledge and experience to look into what other businesses have sold for and ones that are on the market, and figuring out a lot of those intangibles within the business to come up with this value. So I'm going to give you an incredibly trimmed down explanation of how we come up with the value. So a broker is going to look at your financials for the past 3 years. He's going to look at how much you've made in profit. Then he's going to add back several things. He's going to add back interest, depreciation, amortization, the owner's salary, as well as some one-time expenses that the business may have incurred. All these things go together to come up with SDE, Seller's Discretionary Earnings. So it's not as easy as it sounds. There are a lot of people out there, and some brokers, who will try and add back a lot of personal expenses. But savvy buyers and lenders are going to look at things like trips to Europe or a big car as things that they refuse to actually add back in. There are some people that will argue this issue, and maybe I'll do a video about it one day. But what I want you to take away right now is that seller's discretionary earnings is essentially the total financial benefit that a business gave to its owner. So next, we got to look at the market. So what have other businesses like yours sold for? What multiples have been applied to their business? What actual businesses like yours are for sale right now, and what are their multiples? So once again, this isn't an easy thing to put together. There are a lot of things that go into it. So you got to take into account, is there real estate involved? How has the business been trending? Has it been trending up or trending down? Are there contracts within this business that can play heavily into a value? Or are there issues with processes? There's a lot of things that go into it that can affect it. But at the end of the day, the broker is going to figure out a multiple and place it on that business. So in the case of Cindy, her business was making $6 million a year in revenue, and she was taking home about $700,000 in SDE. It was a pretty solid business, and the broker decided to put a multiple of 2.8 onto the business. So this came out to be just under a $2 million valuation. On contrast, there was another roofing business that was making $6 million a year in revenue. The owner was only making $300,000 in SDE. There were some issues in the business, and the broker put a multiple of 2 on it. So this came out to around $600,000. Obviously, that is a drastic difference between the two businesses. Cindy thought it was a great valuation. She was excited to potentially get $2 million for her business, so she signed the listing and moved forward with that broker. So this is just the start of the process. There is a long road ahead of us. We've still got to go through marketing your business. We've got to find buyers. We've got to vet those buyers. Then we've got to get letters of intent and enter negotiation periods. After that, you get into due diligence, which is where most deals fall apart. And lastly, we'll make it to the closing table, and I'll explain to you what that looks like. So I'll be putting out new videos in the coming weeks. Hopefully you'll join me, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.